Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back to the show. We are joined by Coach Barnes here once again. Goldmine Thoughts, our leadership, our expert, our coach and mentor, and so much to so many. Author, the divine woman who sends amazing gifts. And you can see here the reconditioned with Coach Barnes. That's like her slogan. And this stays here every day. And it's funny, I haven't used it physically in like 2 weeks, right? Because I usually bring my coffee up, whatever, but it's still right here on my desk where I keep it. So I get to see you every day.
Great.
Thank you. Please introduce yourself to our listeners, hon.
Hey, thanks for tuning in today. This is Coach Barnes, founder and CEO of Gold Mine Thoughts, leadership development and life coaching services located at 55 Washington Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11201, in the heart of Brooklyn. Here at Gold Mine Thoughts, we help you develop to be the best version of yourself that is both mentally, spiritually, and professionally. We just want you to be the most awesome version of yourself that you want to be.
Awesome. And we could do it. Everyone could do it. It takes, sometimes that extra step, that extra push, that extra guidance that maybe not your friends and family can give you, and
Right.
maybe not even yourself. A lot of us can't get there ourselves, but that's why we have you. Would you mind just telling me a little bit about your background, new listeners out there, how you got involved in this?
Sure. I've had over 20 years experience on in coaching in the field of education, and inspiration leader and motivational speaker within the community activist. But more recently, I want to say within the last 8 years, I began to hone in on what it looks like to support and develop the voiceless, right? Those who are struggling in silence, those who may or may not know best ways of asking for support and help. And I wanted to capture those individuals because when you become the version that you want to be,
Yeah.
you begin to explore things. You begin to be more happier. You begin to interact with others.
Mm-hmm.
You feel more fulfilled, right? And it's it's so necessary, especially in this world right now. It's so necessary to provide a voice to those who are struggling in silence because there has been this stigma of what strength looks like. There has been this stigma of if asking for help is a sign of weakness, whereas asking for help should be a sign of strength. It should be you should be able to lean on those that you surround yourself with so that you can be the best version of yourself. And there's so many people out there who do not have that. And I just wanted to be able to reach out to those and support them in getting that and undefining and identifying who their real and true circle is so that they can do those things.
Got it. And at Goldmine Thoughts, also don't want to forget her book. You could pick up as well. The name of it is
Loving yourself through the trauma. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
loving yourself through the trauma workbook. You can go to my website, www.goldminethoughts.com, and purchase a copy there. You can also go on blurb.com and purchase a copy there. The hard copy version is actually on the blurb.com. But if you purchase from my website, you can get a signed copy directly from me mailed to you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right. So, what is our topic for the day? Each and every week, you always have something good to talk about, to kind of reflect upon, to make us all kind of think. And it's good to think.
Right. And today I really wanted to tap into the thought of what does asking for help look like? And why is it so difficult for others to do so?
Mm-hmm.
Like why is it so difficult to ask for help?
Yeah.
And I can say speaking from my own experience, um, and battling with depression and anxiety, I would say it was that stigma of feeling judged,
Yeah.
you know, feeling judged, that shame of how are people going to perceive me
Yeah.
if I do ask for this help.
Mm-hmm.
And it really took me navigating through those thoughts and feelings. It really took me seeking for professional help so that, my own life coach, so that I can really weigh in on what are the root causes to me feeling that way, because no one wakes up deciding to be depressed that day,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
That's not a choice that you make. This is something that happens. It's a
Yep.
sickness that happens. And I think the more we make others aware about that, the more likely the voiceless begins to have a better support system.
Mm-hmm.
So my question and push to people are, what are the things that's stopping you from asking for help when you,
Mm-hmm.
is it that you're not sure of the
Or
help that you need?
mm-hmm.
Is it that you're not sure who are the individuals you can go to get help from?
Yep.
Or is it that shame of needing someone else or needing support from others? And it's like that's something I want our listeners and our viewers to wrestle with. Like, what are the true things that's holding us back from asking for the help that we need so that we can pull through the day, so that we can, come out of those dark spaces. Because not having someone to support or having others to support you to get through that, it's really difficult. It's trying,
It is.
and it keeps you in such a dark space that some of the decisions that you make within that state are not rational.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the decisions that you make in that state are more harmful to you than they would be if you had someone who were from a different perspective say, okay, hold on, we can manage this, we can get through this. Let's think about what do you need to come out of this.
Yeah.
So Jill, I want you to think about a time, like, think about a time where you felt like, one, you needed help, and then two, you felt like you didn't have anyone that you could really ask.
That's like almost every day of my life.
Right. And it's like, so what is it like? It's
I
like,
have
what
I
is
ha
it that make you feel that way?
because I have a sister that lives close, but she's got two of her own kids. She's busy,
Mhm.
right? And she doesn't understand. She's always had a husband. I've always been single. I've always lived alone. I have two kids. So when I ask her every now and then to help, like I had a hair appointment Tuesday night, and it was like 4 hours to do hair color extensions, and I'm like, I had to bring my kids. I actually saw check to see if I can get a sitter. Two people said no in advance. Their dad doesn't come around much. So I'm like, I'll bring them with me, which is fine. They go on the iPads, but they get so stressed out and annoyed. I said, Jen, by any chance, are you around? Do you want to, could you, I'm not going to ask for help, but if you're around, maybe just say hi to the boys, occupy them for a few minutes. And she blows off the handle because she feels like you're always asking me for help. I'm like, okay, I'm fine. I brought them. It would be easier, of course, if they weren't here, but I'm still doing what I have to do. And every time I reach out, even if I do it like that, there's no, she gets so, I did it myself. I do it myself. I said, you've never worked full time like me. I said, you also have a husband, he does nothing. He has two jobs and blah, blah. I'm like, she, she's always had this thing against me where it's like, she just does not agree with me in my life. And I just don't know why. She loves me and I love her, but I feel like, gosh, I offer you when your kids were little, I always offer you help. And I was working full time, but I had no kids. I always would offer a hand. My best friend who lives around the block, she's so generous. She's like, a few weeks ago, I had a job. She's like, I'll take the kids. I'm like, are you serious? And she knows my sister since childhood. For some reason, my sister's just not like that. My sister gets mad, then someone else watches my kids. I'm like, I need help. I'm like, I can't do this alone. So I have a very personal issue with this. It frustrates me clearly from my voice, from my actions now. It burns me because if I could help, I would. I'm in the position where I can't help all the time, but all the other times I'm like on the weekends, bring your kids over, have them here, let them stay. I'm like, I don't know. We just have different personalities, obviously. But I do it all myself, but it is hard. So it's, I have a boyfriend who comes around, helps every now and then. He's great, but it's hard. And she just never wants to acknowledge that it's hard. And so I can't make her think it's hard. I can't, change her
That
mind,
is
but
true. That's true. And
mm,
so I'm wondering, if have you guys ever had the conversation, like no one else around, just you, just two sisters, really hashing out, like,
oh, it,
what is this thing? There's this thing between us, and we need to address this thing. We're not going to address how I feel. We're not going to address how you feel. Right now, we're going to focus on this thing.
But this thing always leads to how she feels or I feel. How do you
Right.
stay
And
so
and
neutral?
it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
how do you navigate through that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And part of that what it looks like is okay, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
We're gonna identify this thing, this elephant that's in this room right here. We're gonna identify it. This is the thing. Asking for help. We're gonna go one at a time.
Yeah.
Asking for help. What does it look like? What does it sound like? And what does it feel like for you to ask for help? And it's one, like you just going one step at a time, right? And it's like, okay, for me, this is what it is, right? Then you're quiet. Then she goes, for me, this is what it is. Okay, next question. How does it feel
Yeah.
when the other one is unwilling to help, support, or things of that nature? Like,
Yeah.
how does it feel to you, right? On a test, how does it feel to you? And what you can do is even say, I'll let you go first.
Yeah.
And let her go and she address. And it's like we're not putting blame. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, we're focusing on the thing. And so what usually happens is blame gets in the way. So
Yeah.
the discussion doesn't get had. Like it
Uh,
doesn't happen because blame gets in the way.
yeah.
So if it's like we're focusing on the thing, not
Yes.
on blame, just on
Yes.
the thing. The thing is asking for help. The next thing is frustration.
Yeah.
What is it about asking for help frustrates you?
That
And then you take right, and then you take turns on that,
yeah.
right? And it's like we're not doing the blame thing. And if it becomes a blame, we're gonna stop, you're gonna pause, we're gonna hit reset. It's not about
Mm-hmm.
blame. I just want to know what does that frustration feel like for you? And then I'm going to explain what it feels like for me.
Wow.
And then
Yeah.
we can talk about how do we get to a medium? Because I know that you love me and you know that I love you. So how do we fix this thing? And then that is a way you get to navigate and really start to hear one another and
Mm-hmm.
start to understand one another's at. Because there's something underlining that's there that's bothering, right? There's something there that's simmering. And you can't quite put your finger on it because you just say, I know she loves me. She knows I love her, but we just, for whatever reason, we can't see eye to eye. And that comes from even in listening to her saying, well, I didn't have help, or I didn't, it's like,
Well,
there's something under there that's really bothering you. It's like, how do we get to that thing?
Well,
Because,
my other
right?
friends and
Because,
family say it's a little bit of jealousy that I've always worked so hard, that I've always been. But to me, I'm like, I'm jealous you have a husband and you have a family. I did it different. And I was always working my ass off. And am I allowed to say ass? I could say ass. And she didn't. And she got, so I'm envious of her lifestyle, not having to work when the kids were younger. And then I've always worked. So I never had the family life until later, until I made it happen myself. But there's this underlying, like, it's like she's not jealous of me, but it is like a form of jealousy where it's like, she's like, how could you want to even do that? Or I used to work 14-hour days for CBS. I had a baby and I had to have a full-time nanny. And my aunt helped me. My mom got diagnosed with cancer, so she wasn't able to help me. And I was living in Queens, and she was like, I can't believe you're going out. I'm like, going out? I'm going to a movie premiere because I have to interview the actors next week. It's not like I'm not even a premiere. It's I used to have to go for screeners. And I'm
mm-hmm,
like, this is part of my job. I said, yeah, I'm not going to see my son for 24 hours. I said, because I have to be out, but he'll be sleeping when I get home. Well, I don't understand. I'm like, you don't understand because you're not working in the strict
right.
television business, which is hell. And it's a lot of pressure and a lot of, and she's like, I guess if it's so easy, I'm like, you don't get it. You don't, it's like, we never understood each other. I
Mm-hmm.
understand her. I really feel like I do in her life. She doesn't understand mine. So it's hard. And, my friend says, well, she's like jealous of you in a way, maybe that you did work so much and maybe you had a career and she didn't. She didn't go to college. You went to college, you worked, she didn't. It's like, so there could be some of that, but can't talk to her about that. I don't want to say that because then I look like I think she's jealous of me, like if it's a pompous thing and I'm not pompous. So,
And it's not about that. It's more
mm-mm.
of getting an understanding that different doesn't mean better.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
I went down this road because it worked for me.
Yeah.
That's not to say that that would have worked for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we both have pieces that the other one wish they could have experienced. And who knows?
Exactly.
She may be just a little bit, and I don't want to say jealous, but just a little envious of the experience. The fact that she didn't get to experience certain things that you had access to because of the way that you chose for your career, right? And maybe it's a little of that, but she still loves you. She's still your sister, you know?
Yep. I
And
know.
you
I
know that,
know.
and
Yeah.
you know that. And I think is when we don't have those tough conversations, when we don't lock in and have those tough conversations, we'll never get to understand what it is. And that frustration will always be there. It'll always
Awesome.
be there because the only two people who can answer those questions are you and her.
Mm-hmm. Very
You are
true.
only two that can think. So it's like, which brings me back to what does help look like?
Look like.
And what does it sound like? What is the other person hearing when you're saying, I need assistance, I
Yeah.
need help? Are you hearing me saying, like, I'm having a rough go today?
Mm-hmm.
I just need a little support.
Yep.
Or are you hearing me saying, like I want to go do this and I want to hang out and like I want to pawn my kids off on you because it's what people hear.
Yeah.
It's what people hear, and that's why we have so many people in situations where they refuse to ask for help
Yeah.
because of the way they think other people will perceive them.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm constantly asking you for help and I'm constantly being told no, at some point I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
At some point I'm going to go, I'm just going to figure it out. And my way of figuring it out might not be the best way.
Mm-hmm.
May not be the best way. I think back to recently this week with the young lady who killed her children out,
Ah, I heard about
and
that.
and it's like to me, I was like, oh my gosh, like how many signs were there
Ah,
before? How many signs were there
yeah.
before they got there?
Yep.
Like it's something about not judging. It's something about in no way, shape, or form I'm condoning this, but there's something
Yep.
about not judging.
Yeah.
There's
Yep.
about how many people did she pass
And
and asking for help?
help.
How many
Noticed, didn't say
noticed,
anything.
didn't see, or did you know
Uh,
what you were looking for? Did you see a change? Postpartum depression is real. And
oh,
there's no time limit on it. And people just think that, oh, you get over it, oh, you may be a little sad. There's a difference between being sad and being depressed.
yeah.
There's a difference. And I wonder, like it's just been on my mind. I'm wondering, like, the people that you live with, a significant other, what signs were there that you missed? My heart goes out to him as well, because it's like he has to be torn
Uh,
and saying, he has to be torn and saying, like, how did I miss
how did
this?
I miss this? Exactly. Yep.
My,
Wow.
my heart goes out to the father who was trying to get his son, and and the courts kept refusing to give him custody.
Mm,
So there were signs, there were things that were being missed,
yeah.
and it's like, how do we notice what these signs are,
Yep.
and how do we remove the shame of asking for help and support? And to that, I just want to say, anyone who's out there, if you're struggling, if you feel like you don't know what to do, please, please, please call a friend, call a station, um, go to my website. I do trauma services. I do trauma counseling sessions for free the last Sunday of every month. Um, if there's any chance that I can support or help anyone
Yep.
in any type of way
Then.
so that you can be able to be with us another day, please, please, please reach out. info@goldminethoughts.com.
Beautiful. And have you had a time in your life where you've been in a similar situation where you're not seeing eye to eye with someone, and any tips and pointers how we can get through that? Because it's gonna
Definitely.
happen. You
It,
don't come
it, it
out with
happens.
everyone.
It happens all the time. And I'm definitely say when I decided, um, and there's been so many different situations, and I feel like I haven't seen eye to eye
Yeah.
with people, and I think it's because often I see a bigger vision for myself than some others may see. And it was more about me deciding on who am I going to bet on,
Yeah.
right? Who am I going to bet on, and understanding that I may not do things the same way as everyone else, and I have to be okay with that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have to be okay. I have to be okay with walking away from a job that no longer serves me purpose.
So
Right?
exactly. Yep.
I have to be okay with walking away from a relationship that
And
is that 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 is exposing me to toxicity, right?
mm-hmm.
Where someone else may think like from the outside looking in, like,
It's
oh, this is the best. Like you have it so well and you have it like this. But in the inside, behind closed doors, it's like mentally, this is not the space for me.
yep.
Like mentally, I'm not doing okay. And when I'm saying to you, and I can think of a time back when I was in this relationship and I was speaking to one of my cousins, a male cousin, and I was saying like, this don't work for me. I know you guys like him. I know you guys love him. He's cool with y'all, but like this is abusive. Like he's
It's
verbally abusive. Sometimes it gets physical, and it's like, and my male cousin is like, oh, that's just because he loves you so much, and it's like for me, the thought of you equating this toxicity with love.
mm-hmm.
For me, it was traumatic because I felt like I'm coming to my cousin and I'm coming to someone that I know that loves me. And I'm saying, hey, like this thing is happening to me and I don't feel safe and I don't feel
Yep.
comfortable. And for you, you're just like, oh,
Uh-huh.
guys, and like, tough it out. We just need to be like, don't be so voices and don't be so. And it's like, well, you're asking me to shrink myself
Mm-hmm.
so that he can feel better about himself.
Wow.
And it was navigating through that. And for a while, I just thought that it was okay. And I thought that's what it was. But it took a lot of me looking into myself and recognizing, like, no, this is not what it is. This is not how it should be. And I'm hurting. Like, I'm hurting. I'm sad all the time. And I don't want to be this way. So and recognizing that I had to make that tough decision. It's like, yeah, I know all my cousins like you and you're cool with the guys and this and that, but this is not working for me and I need to move on. And I have to
Yeah.
be and I have to be okay with moving on. Like I have to be okay with being alone.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
and that's the thing. And for a lot of women, we go back and forth with that. We go back and forth with well, I don't feel like learning anyone else.
Yeah.
Right? I don't feel like going through this again. Oh, I don't feel like going on the dating scene. Or I feel like I'm too old. Well, who's gonna want somebody that has kids? Like we have all these little things
Yeah.
that play in our mind, and we stay in relationships longer than we need to
Yeah.
because we feel like when we do go out and we do ask for help, it's not perceived as that. It's received more of as a complaint
Yeah.
versus you saying, hey, I hear you. And you know what?
And
I can't make this decision for you, but I support
but you
you
feel
in
mm-hmm.
whatever decision you make.
Mm-hmm.
So once we have to think of ways of how do we remove that shame of asking for help
Yeah.
so that we can make the best choices or the better choices for ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, and for that poor woman, I think about what would it have looked like for her to receive help, because at some point in some way there had to be something that seemed a little off, right?
Yeah.
And although we might not know what that is, but it had to be
Had
some
to be.
had to be
Mm-hmm.
somewhere somebody saw something And it's
They
like,
don't know,
if she
maybe,
would have,
yeah,
right, if she would have gotten help,
help. Yep.
there's a great chance that those children will possibly still be here.
Mm, gosh, heart goes out to them. That family, my goodness.
Yeah. So again, this is Coach Barnes, founder and CEO of Goldmine Thoughts. Please reach out if you're struggling with navigating your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. You can contact me at info@goldminethoughts.com. Go through my website, www.goldminethoughts.com. Purchase the Loving Yourself Through the Trauma Workbook, and
Mhm.
follow me on all social media platforms at Coach Barnes GMT.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time here as always. And everyone, if you missed it, listen up. She's right here once again.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcasts on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.